We are at the ANC's National Elective Conference. It's day 2 of that conference. Of course, things starting on a bit of a slow start here as delegates start streaming in. Of course, yesterday things a bit delayed with controversies around the adoption of credentials, but we continue to bring you rolling coverage. And joining us here on our special edition of Polotiki is the ANC Women's League President, Bathabile Dlamini. Good morning and welcome to Polotiki.
Good morning, Mashata, and good morning to your viewers.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It's been an interesting road. You started it intensively in January when you announced that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is going to be your presidential candidate. Now we are here at conference. I saw the Women's League yesterday, very excited in the plenary. How are you feeling about your candidate's chances this morning?
We still feel resolute about her, but also about the commitment of the ANC to a non-sexist society, and that the ANC is a non-sexist organization, and it has been leading on the issues of women's emancipation. And if we can have a woman as our president, it will mean that we are maturing in the political landscape as the African National Congress.
Has that message resonated within the ANC that you have called quite patriarchal at times?
I think that that is the challenge that is facing the whole country, because all the important institutions and structures, starting with the family, are patriarchal, when actually the bulk of work and the trials and tribulations of families rest upon the shoulders of women. You go to the legislature, judiciary, the church, organizations, they are patriarchal structures, and a lot of work needs to be done to change that position.
The campaign for Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma has faced a lot of criticism. Many people not necessarily finding fault with her, but the other people that are surrounding her. There have been talks of the fact that, you know, you've got people like the ANC chairperson in the Free State, Ace Magashule, who's been implicated in the Gupta leaks. You've had allegations of Carl Niehaus, who's a known fraudster, part of that campaign, and that's why people are saying that, you know, if she were to win this election, chances of the ANC succeeding in the 2019 elections are close to nothing.
Actually, on the contrary, South Africans have confidence in Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. And secondly, the work she has done. But thirdly, when you work closer with her, you actually find out that she works everything up to finer details so that you don't commit mistakes. But one other thing, South Africans, why are they not forgiving? They always want to label people. Why are they not saying, let's listen to Carl for a change and give him an opportunity to change? And the problem also with South Africans is that we are not consistent. There are people who have a license to do as they please in the country, and we keep quiet about that. But there are people that we follow very closely and do not give them a chance to recover. if we were able to forgive apartheid, why is it difficult to forgive someone else and ensure that there is a remedial action on some of the issues? That is what you could do. But also with ACE, ACE is a long-standing member of the African National Congress. I think we want to judge people. No one has ever called ACE and asked him to clarify that thing. But someone very clever leaked those emails. And are we going to live that life as South Africans?
Surely, ma'am, you can't be suggesting that we forgive people implicated in the millions of South African rands that, for example, I said to have gone towards the Gupta wedding.
I'm saying no one has called, okay, have you called him to come and explain the whole saga? I have never heard him explaining. And actually, even if you explain it sometimes to South Africans, they have an attitude already. If they say, Bathabile, you are corrupt, you are Gupta linked, they just say so. They don't wait for you to explain. But one other thing is that, let me make 2 examples about Mam Nkosazana whilst we're busy with the campaign.
Yes.
One day she had to be in the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. And then she says, how am I going to split myself? And we said, no, but we found a charter. Someone is going, and then she says, who's going to pay for it? And we say, no, we found someone, and who's going to pay for it? And then she says, how are you going to account? What are you going to say to South Africans? And to me, that said, she is serious about her work. It's difficult to draw her to controversy, and she is very firm. There are many people have come to us to say, we want to assist you. And then she would say, who are those? And then I would say, no, it's so and so. And she would say, but what are South Africans going to say about that donation? Let's not take that donation. She's very firm. She's committed also to her work. Wherever she has been through, there is a huge difference. And South Africans right now need change. And if we don't change now, our children are going to ask us one question: what did you do during your period as a leader in South Africa?
They might also ask you a question: why are we not prosecuting those implicated in corruption? Would she be willing to ensure that there is a proper prosecution of those involved in state capture and get them jailed?
Talk about state capture. Where does a state capture start? Where does it start?
There's one that has been investigated by the public protector, Thuli Madonsela, which specifically talks to the Gupta family.
Okay. I hold no brief for the Gupta family. Are they the only ones that are involved in state capture? They are not the only ones. I think the president was very clear yesterday when he spoke about how we define things differently. One and the same thing, we define it differently.
The whole issue around corruption in the private sector and government.
Absolutely. You see the case that is...
The Steenhoff matter.
Yes. The way it's being handled, is shocking, actually. I thought people would be enthusiastic, as they are always enthusiastic, but they are not. Why? Because of our mentality. Something that was instilled in our minds, that a black person is always wrong and other people are always correct. So even if they do something wrong, we don't see it. Not that we turn a blind eye. We just know that, no, they are correct. So we leave them just like that. And then with our people, we are very, very vicious when we deal with their issues.
Let's come back to the business of conference. Basically, yesterday, the whole debate around credentials was abandoned. And we've heard that there's still cleaning up of the credentials that still needs to happen before it can be adopted. What are the problems?
The report we got from our SG was that, for instance, in our list, there are people that were elected in their branches, duly elected as delegates, and therefore we removed them and had to put other people. That has been misinterpreted. There are texts going all around saying that they were not elected or they don't belong to that ward. That is Sisoli Lamleli, who's the chairperson of the ANC Women's League. And because we want more women at conference, when a woman gets elected at a branch level as a delegate, we prefer to push that woman to a branch level so that we can have more delegates here. One other issue that has been raised is the issue of who is representing the ANC Women's League. Number one, the Constitution is very clear. It says the other delegates at conference will be the Veterans League, the Youth League, and the Women's League. It does not say the National Executive Committee. But also there is precedence in as far as this matter is concerned. The ANC has never asked us about who is representing the ANC Women's League. As long as we are able to have in our delegation mature women, young women, women from the rural areas, intellectuals or professionals, and maybe one from business. So the issue of the ANC coming to question our authority is going to be a problem, because the Women's League is an integral part of the ANC, but autonomous in terms of how it handles its administration matters.
I just want to get you correctly. So are you saying that the ANC is questioning who you've brought as a delegation for the ANC Women's League, and there's also been changes at branch levels where you have women who were elected by the branches to come here, but they're not finding themselves inside conference?
No, they are inside a conference. Mm-hmm. But for instance, the SMS that was taken around yesterday, about Sisoli, says she does not come from White 34. She comes from there. But secondly, she was duly elected at a meeting of the branch. And that branch was verified and it passed the audit. So she is the representative of that branch. And we had to put someone else in her space, because we have 60 delegates as the Women's League at conference.
So are you going to be fighting for your delegation to remain as it is at this when the credentials start?
We are not really going to fight, because the constitution is clear. It does not say NEC members, and also we had an extended NEC meeting where the officials were allowed to finalize the list. So we did consult with our structures, and to us, our structures are more important.
Do you think that there's still risk for this conference to collapse over this issue of credentials?
I don't think so. It has never happened in the history of the ANC.
It has never happened that you don't adopt credentials?
There are things that I can't raise here. It has never happened in the history of the ANC that we call 5,000 delegates, and then we collapse the conference. It has never happened. So we are resolute. We are going to be very patient, and we are going to be very resilient, and we are going to push forward and ensure that this conference discusses its business up until the end.
The other criticism that has been leveled at the Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma campaign is that the provinces that are having problems that have ended up in the courts, where the courts have said these delegates cannot come to this conference, are provinces that are supporting her in this campaign, giving signs that you have people supporting her that are not following the constitution and the procedures of the ANC.
How many provinces have had conferences, and how many provinces are in court? The Northern Cape is in court as we are speaking. They also have their issue. Eastern Cape has a challenge too. They are also dealing with their issues. I think issues of credentials are issues that have to be raised inside the conference. Because, for instance, we resolved that if people take matters of the ANC to court, those people automatically expel themselves from the African National Congress. And the president, again, was very clear yesterday about decisions that are taken and not implemented. And if you have such a situation, you will find out that there is a lot of manipulation around those issues.
But focusing on those that take the ANC to court and not focusing on those that are exploiting and manipulating ANC procedures is problematic, because the people end up in court because people inside the ANC are manipulating the processes.
But we have rules that guard against that. For instance, there are procedures that have been established over time in the ANC. You have audit, membership audit. You have BBGMs or BAGMs. You have verification of those meetings. And then you go to the Regional General Council, you go to the Provincial General Council, and you vote. But that was not done this time. Is it, should we all stand up and shout about that? No, we're not going to do that. What we need to try and do is to strengthen the Constitution and the rules and regulations of the organization. But also, it does not mean that when you have a new person in the organization, all that was developed for the good of the organization that has been standing should be thrown away. I think we are in this situation right now because we've not been firm. Because we know all the processes. We know that after verification processes, branches have to go back. There are those that have to go back and correct their mistakes. And there are appeals. Usually, appeals do not come to the national conference. They are dealt with in the provinces. And if we don't follow that process thoroughly, we will have problems. But also, if we allow people to align themselves with us and use that alignment to fight their battles, that is also not correct. So that's what I can say. But the rest of the things we have discussed as the Women's League, we're going to make a presentation inside if we are called upon to do so.
What is your reaction to the outgoing chairperson, Baleka Mbete, publicly announcing that she's endorsing Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa for the presidency?
Firstly, we are happy that 3 women stood or allowed branches to nominate them to the position of the president. And if we had not come up as the ANC Women's League to say we want a woman president, that would not have happened. We've made history. We've actually moved further because in the Northwest, when Mam Winnie was nominated, I think we were still, we had not found our feet. And up until today, we are convinced that actually she had what it takes. She could be the president of the ANC and that of the country. And so we are happy about that. And then secondly, as we have said, South Africa is a patriarchal country. And then thirdly, women are not homogeneous. So we're not going to chaperone everyone to think along the lines of the ANC Women's League. We are going to try and ensure that we deepen the understanding of power relations and gender relations and an advantage of having a woman as the president in the ANC. But also the ANC must try and deal with the issues of gender as it is dealing with the issues of race and class.
Last question from me. If Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa emerges the winner, will you accept it and will you be willing, will you work with him in the ANC?
What we were taught in the ANC is that if a leader gets elected, you subject yourself to that leadership. And also, if you stand for elections, you must be strong enough to be able to accept a defeat. But the comrade that wins the elections must embrace all other comrades in the organization because the ANC will always be there. And therefore, we are going to support Comrade Cyril if should he be elected. But one other thing that I know is that from the word go, Comrade Nkosazana was very clear that I don't want a muddy campaign. I want to work with a disciplined people. And you must know that we are members of the ANC. For instance, when we had to come up with the theme, radical economic transformation, she said, let's use ANC policy. Let's not come up with foreign things that the ANC is not aware of. This gives us an opportunity to talk to as many people as we can about what the ANC stands for.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. That was the ANC Women's League President, Bathabile Dlamini, joining us here on our special edition of Politiki, brought to you by News 24. My name is Mahlatsi Mahlase.